Welcome back to my channel. Today we explore the value of specific coins, the top 5 most valuable. Abraham Lincoln Wheat Penny Coins value in mark. First up, the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny with the D mint mark, and we are focusing on what most people actually have in their collection or coin jar, which is a worn, dirty, circulated example. Many people hope that even a dirty wheat penny from the early 50s might be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And while those amounts are technically possible for a very small number of high-grade coins, the truth is that the average circulated piece tells a much different story. So in this video, we will explore what makes this coin valuable in the rarest situations, what keeps most examples low in price, and what today's market realistically pays for a dirty 1952 wheat penny. The first thing to understand is that the 1952 wheat penny was produced in extremely large numbers. The Denver Mint struck over 700 million of them, which means this coin is far from scarce. Because coin values are tied to rarity, demand, and condition, such a large mintage immediately places the average 1952 penny in the common category. Even though it is over 70 years old, age alone does not make a coin valuable. There must be something else, such as exceptional condition or a rare error. Without those factors, most examples remain inexpensive. Next, we have to consider the issue of condition. When you look at a dirty, circulated 1952 penny, what you usually see is a surface that has turned dark brown, sometimes with spots, sometimes with scratches from pocket wear, and often with the wheat ears on the reverse worn flat. In coin collecting, the condition scale ranges from poor up to mint state, and the price difference between the lowest grade and the highest grade can be enormous. Dirty, circulated coins fall on the low end of this scale. They often grade good, very good, or fine, depending on how worn they are. These grades mean the coin has clearly been used, handled, and aged without any preservation, which is completely normal for coins found in circulation because condition is one of the biggest factors in determining value. Most dirty, circulated 1952 pennies are valued very simply. Their price in today's collector market generally ranges from only a few cents to maybe 20 or 25 cents at the high end of circulated condition. This range reflects what dealers typically pay and what collectors are willing to buy for filling album slots. It is not uncommon to see these pennies sold in rolls or bulk bags because they are so abundant. A single dirty example usually brings no more than pocket change value. Now that we have covered the common range, let us look at why some 1952 pennies become valuable and why you sometimes see claims online about high-dollar sales. The most valuable examples are always in exceptional preserved condition, meaning bright original red color, no dirt, no staining, and no wear at all. These are coins that never circulated. They were stored from the beginning, often in mint sets or old coin collections. Such coins can receive high mint state grades from professional grading services. A 1952 penny that grades MS66 or MS67 with full red color can sell for hundreds of dollars, and in extremely rare cases, when the coin is nearly perfect, the price can reach into the thousands. These high-grade examples are what make the coin appear valuable on the surface, but they represent only a tiny fraction of all 1952 pennies ever minted. Another factor that increases value is the presence of a rare error or die variety. Some 1952 pennies show repunched mint marks or forms of doubling. These varieties can be collected by specialists, and in higher grades, they can bring strong premiums. However, on a dirty circulated coin, the premium is much smaller. Even a recognized variety in heavily worn condition might only raise the value slightly, perhaps from a few cents to a few dollars, and that is only if the variety is bold enough to be easily confirmed. Most dirty coins do not show these details clearly, So when we talk specifically about a dirty 1952 D penny, without special features, the realistic market value today remains very low. Most local coin shops will buy such a coin for about its copper value or simply at a token price. Collectors searching for examples to place in albums sometimes buy circulated pennies. But even then, the cost is usually less than the price of a snack. Sellers on online marketplaces may list them for higher amounts, but actual sold prices remain low because buyers know these coins are common. What this means for most people is that the sentimental or historical value of a dirty 1952 D penny is often greater than the monetary value. It represents a time period when wheat pennies were still in everyday use. It holds the image of Abraham Lincoln that millions of Americans carried in their pockets. It is a reminder of earlier decades of American history, yet financially, it is still just a small collectible item. So if you have one of these pennies in dirty condition, the honest answer is that it is usually worth somewhere between 5 and 25 cents in the current market. If you want to check for a rare variety, you can look carefully at the mint mark or search for signs of doubling. But without those details or without exceptional condition, the coin will not fall into the highly valuable category. Still, it is always interesting to learn the story behind the coin and understand why only a select few become valuable, while the majority remain common. Next up, the 1957 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a coin that many collectors overlook, assuming that it is too common to hold any meaningful value. But as we explore its history, design, mintage, and current market trends, you will discover why certain examples of this coin, especially in extra fine condition, continue to attract collector interest and higher prices in today's market. The story of the 1957 wheat penny begins in the final years of the classic Lincoln wheat design. By 1957, the United States Mint had already produced billions of wheat cents over several decades, and the country was preparing to transition to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, which would begin in 1959. This makes the 1957 wheat penny part of the last era of coins featuring the iconic wheat ears on the reverse, a design loved by collectors for its simplicity, symbolism, and connection to early 20th century American coinage. The 1957 penny without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, Philadelphia, served as the main production location for many denominations, and was capable of striking coins in very high quantities. In 1957, the Philadelphia Mint struck more than 282 million of these wheat cents. This high mintage means that the coin is not rare in general circulation. However, high-grade coins, especially those that have survived in extra fine condition, are far less common than the total mintage suggests. Most coins from this era experienced heavy circulation, picking up scratches, nicks, discoloration, and wear that significantly limit their collector value. This is why coins that remain sharp and well-preserved can still draw competitive interest among collectors. To understand the value of the 1957 wheat penny, it helps to look at its detailed design. On the obverse is the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, created by Victor David Brenner in 1909. The design was originally introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth and became one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. Even in 1957, the portrait had already been used for nearly half a century, making its long presence on coinage part of its appeal. The words "In God We Trust" arch along the top, Liberty sits to the left of Lincoln's portrait, and the date 1957 is positioned to the right. The absence of a mint mark, as usual for coins struck in Philadelphia at the time, is also on the obverse. The reverse features the classic wheat ears on both sides, framing the words 1 cent at the center. Above this is the United States of America inscription, and at the top is the motto E Pluribus Unum, The simplicity of this design, combined with its historical context, is a major part of why collectors continue to pursue wheat pennies even when the coins themselves are not extremely rare in extra fine condition. A 1957 penny shows clear detail in Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat. The wheat ears on the reverse should display separation between the kernels, and the lettering should remain sharp. There will be some light wear from circulation, but the overall appearance will remain strong and attractive. This is the grade that appeals to collectors who want coins that show character and history, but still maintain quality and eye appeal when it comes to value in today's market. Condition is everything. The majority of circulated 1957 wheat pennies are worth only a few cents over their face value. However, an example in an extra fine condition can sell for more. On average, collectors today are willing to pay around 20 to 40 cents for a 1957 no mint mark penny in extra fine grade. The value may increase slightly depending on the coin's color, with red or red-brown examples typically selling at the higher end of the range. While this is not a rare or extremely valuable coin, it still holds meaning for collectors, especially those building high-quality wheat penny sets. Certain factors can push the value higher. A coin with exceptional eye appeal, unusual luster, or minimal contact marks may sell for a premium. Likewise, if a collector is trying to complete a matching grade set of 1950s wheat pennies, they may be willing to pay above the typical amount. In some cases, attractive examples have reached prices around $1, especially when offered in coin shops or online marketplaces. Where buyers prioritize convenience and quality, error varieties can also influence value. While the 1957 penny is not known for major errors, there are minor doubled die varieties, die cracks, and off-center strikes that can occasionally appear. If a coin shows any of these characteristics, its value can rise significantly above the standard range. Even small die break errors can appeal to collectors who specialize in unique pieces. Overall, the 1957 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny in extra fine condition represents an affordable yet historically interesting collectible. It may not be a rare treasure worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, but its importance lies in its place within the broader story of American coinage, the end of the wheat penny era, and the preservation of classic designs. Many collectors enjoy owning these coins because they represent a turning point in U.S. history and remain accessible to both new and experienced collectors. For anyone who finds a 1957 wheat penny in extra fine condition, it is still worth setting aside. Even though its market value remains modest, it is a well-preserved example of a design that millions of people remember fondly and a coin that continues to capture interest decades after it was minted. Next up, the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark, especially in extra fine condition. Even though this coin is not rare in the absolute sense, it continues to attract collectors, beginners, and dealers alike because of its historical background, its position at the start of the 1940s wartime era, and the way its value has steadily held in today's market. In this video, we will explore what makes the 1941 no mint mark wheat penny special, how it came to be, what details to look for in an extra fine example, and how much it is worth in the current coin market. The year 1941 was the moment just before the United States entered World War II. The nation was recovering from the economic hardships of the Great Depression, and production across many industries, including the U.S. Mint, was increasing. As a result, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of 1-cent coins in 1941. Coins from this mint carry no mint mark, which is why the 1941 penny without a mint mark is considered a Philadelphia issue. Although large numbers were produced, many have been lost to circulation over the decades, and high-quality examples with sharp details have become more desirable. The Wheat Cents series, produced from 1909 to 1958, is one of the most beloved United States coin series because of its simple but iconic design. The obverse features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln, introduced in 1909 on the 100th anniversary of his birth. The reverse displays two wheat stalks, symbolizing prosperity, framing the words 1 cent. This design is familiar to collectors, and small differences in strike, wear, or color can greatly affect a coin's appeal and price. For 1941, the mintage at the Philadelphia Mint reached more than 887 million coins, a number that may seem extremely large. However, most of these pieces circulated heavily during the war years, were later removed from circulation when the penny changed to steel in 1943, and others were simply worn down over time. Today, finding a 1941 no-mint mark penny in extra fine condition means finding a coin that managed to survive more than 8 decades with only light, even wear, and strong remaining detail. This is part of the reason why collectors still value well-preserved examples. Extra fine, often labeled XF or F, is a grading category that describes a coin with only slight wear on the highest points of the design. For a 1941 Lincoln cent, areas that usually show early wear include Lincoln's cheekbone, jawline, hair above the ear, and the wheat stalks on the reverse. In extra fine condition, these areas still show most of their original lines. The coin should have no major scratches, no corrosion, and no heavy discoloration. The original luster, although diminished, may still be visible around the lettering or near the edges. A consistent brown or red-brown color is common and acceptable for a circulated wheat penny of this age. Collectors also look for a strong strike, meaning that the details were well formed during minting. Even minor differences in sharpness can increase or decrease the value. Another point that collectors consider is whether the coin shows any small die variations or errors. The 1941 Lincoln cent is known for a few collectible varieties, such as doubled die obverse examples from the Philadelphia Mint. These contain noticeable doubling on the date and letters. Such varieties are rare and command very high premiums. However, in this script, we focus on the standard 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny in extra fine condition, while a normal example does not carry the extreme rarity of a major error. It is still a strong and desirable piece for those building a year set or a complete wheat cent collection. In today's market, values for the 1941 no-mint mark wheat penny depend heavily on visual appeal. Even within the extra fine grade range, price differences occur due to color, strike, and the presence or absence of marks. On average, an extra fine example typically sells for around $1 to $2 in the retail market. However, coins with exceptional eye appeal, strong original detail, or pleasing color may reach slightly higher prices. Dealers at coin shows or online platforms often list extra fine examples around $2. And collectors who want coins with minimal wear sometimes pay a little more. The value increases significantly only at higher grades, such as almost uncirculated or mint state. But extra fine remains a popular and affordable grade for collectors. Building higher quality wheat cent sets without paying premium mint state prices. Auction listings usually confirm these market trends. When buyers seek large quantities or bulk lots of wheat cents, extra fine coins are often separated and sold individually or at a higher rate than heavily worn pieces. This shows that condition continues to play a major role in value. Although the 1941 wheat penny is not rare, the interest in pre-war United States coinage keeps it consistently in demand. Many collectors enjoy owning a piece of history from the early 1940s, and this steady level of interest supports its value. In conclusion, the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in extra fine condition remains a popular and collectible coin. Its value in today's market, usually around $1 to $2, reflects its availability, but also its continued appeal. Strong detail, clean surfaces, and even color make an extra fine piece a worthy addition to any wheat cent collection. Whether purchased for a beginner, kept as part of a long-term set, or appreciated for its historical context, this coin continues to hold its place as an affordable yet meaningful classic in American numismatics. Next up, the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark. Even though this coin is common in circulated grades, it still attracts collectors because it represents an important moment in United States history. Many people also find these pennies while checking pocket change or old family collections. And they often wonder how much a damaged example is worth in today's market. So in this video, we will look at its background, its design, why some 1942 pennies can be valuable, and how much a damaged 1942 no-mint mark penny realistically sells for today. The 1942 Lincoln wheat penny was produced at a time when the United States had just entered World War II. Inflation was rising. Metal supplies were becoming controlled by the government, and the mint was preparing for major changes to coinage. Just 1 year later, in 1943, the United States would temporarily switch to steel cents. Because of this, the 1942 penny is often viewed as the final regular, uninterrupted copper penny before wartime adjustments began. Philadelphia struck over 657 million of these coins, which makes the no-mint mark 1942 penny one of the highest mintage Lincoln cents of that decade. As a result, millions of these coins still survive today. The obverse of the 1942 penny features the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design first appeared in 1909 and has been used on the cent for more than a century. On the reverse side is the wheat ears design, which collectors now refer to as the wheat penny or wheat cent. The words 1 cent and United States of America are surrounded by 2 wheat stalks. Even though this design is simple, it remains one of the most iconic U.S. coin designs and continues to attract new collectors. Every year, most 1942 pennies are not considered rare in normal circulated condition. But the story changes when we talk about high-grade mint state coins or special era coins. Some era varieties of the 1942 penny have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. These include double-die varieties, repunch dates, off-center strikes, and clipped planchettes. Collectors actively look for these errors because they happen during the minting process. And genuine mint errors can dramatically increase the value of an otherwise common coin. However, it is important to understand the difference between mint errors and post-mint damage. Most damaged coins are caused by environmental wear, scratches, dents, corrosion, or cleaning by humans. These forms of damage lower the value instead of increasing it. Many 1942 pennies found today are in damaged condition, especially because they circulated for decades. Damaged coins may have heavy scratches, discolored surfaces, corrosion from moisture, rim dents, or even small holes caused by improper storage. Some have been cleaned with harsh chemicals, which also reduces value. Collectors usually avoid damaged examples unless the coin has a rare error that occurred during minting. If the damage happened after the coin left the mint, it is considered post-mint damage and does not add value. So how much is a damaged 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny worth in today's market? In most cases, a heavily damaged example typically sells for a very low amount because the coin is extremely common. In the current market, a damaged 1942 penny usually sells between 5 cents and 25 cents, depending on how severe the damage is. If the coin is badly corroded, bent, scratched, or worn down to the point where details are faded, its value stays close to face value. Collectors prefer clean, original coins with natural surfaces. So damaged pieces mainly appeal to beginners or people who simply appease. Maybe simply want a type example? The only time a damaged 1942 penny might still bring Higher value is if it has a verifiable mint error that outweighs the damage. For example, a 1942 off-center penny, even with some circulation wear, can still sell for several dollars. A clipped planchette error can also bring a premium. A genuine double-die variety can sell for even more. But these cases are the exception, not the rule. For most damaged 1942 pennies, the value stays very low. When selling a damaged coin, it is important to set realistic expectations. Many online marketplaces like eBay show listings for high-grade 1942 pennies selling for hundreds of dollars. But those coins are professionally graded and in exceptional condition. A damaged example cannot reach those prices. The best way to sell a damaged coin is usually through online listings, coin bulk lots, or local flea markets where hobbyists may buy it out of interest. Even though a damaged 1942 penny usually has low monetary value, it still carries historical importance. It represents a time when the country was preparing for major wartime changes. And it remains a piece of American history that many people appreciate. For some collectors, finding a wheat penny from the early 1940s is still exciting, especially beginners who are just discovering the hobby of coin collecting. So while the 1942 no mint mark Lincoln wheat penny is common and inexpensive in damaged condition, it continues to be collected because of its history, design, and connection to the era of World War II. If you find one in poor condition, it may not be worth much money, but it is still a meaningful reminder of the coins that millions of Americans used during that important period in history. Next up, the 1956 Lincoln wheat cent with the D mint mark, the Denver minted issue that still captures the attention of collectors around the world. Even though this coin is relatively common in circulated condition, certain factors can still give it surprisingly strong value in today's market. So let's walk through the history, the background, the design, what makes it interesting, and how much a 1956 D Lincoln wheat penny is worth right now. The 1956 Lincoln wheat penny comes from the final era of wheat cent production before the design changed to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. By the mid-1950s, the wheat cent had already been circulating for nearly 5 decades, and it had become an iconic part of American pocket change. These cents feature the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, who created the design in 1909 to mark the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The coin's reverse shows the 2 wheat stalks that give the wheat penny its common name, along with the words 1 cent and United States of America. This design was simple but bold, and it became one of the most recognized American coin styles of the 20th century. In 1956, the demand for circulating cents was extremely high. The United States Mint was producing billions of pennies in the 1950s. Due to the booming post-war economy, the Denver Mint played a major role in meeting that nationwide demand, and it struck an enormous quantity of Lincoln cents that year. In fact, more than 1,1956 D wheat pennies were minted, which places this issue among the higher mintage coins in the wheat penny series. Because of that high mintage, the average 1956 D penny found in circulation today is usually considered common. However, collectors still seek these coins because they represent the tail end of the wheat penny era, and certain examples can be more valuable depending on condition and details. When it comes to the circulated 1956 D penny, most examples show wear across Lincoln's hair, cheek, and coat. The wheat stalks on the reverse may appear softer, and the finer lines inside the wheat may be faint or almost gone. This is perfectly normal for coins that spent years moving through commerce. Even so, collectors often prefer circulated examples that still have strong details and an even color, without heavy scratches, corrosion, or discoloration. Since the mintage of this coin is so large, What makes a 1956 D wheat penny valuable today? There are a few important factors to understand. One major factor is the grade of the coin. Circulated cents that still have crisp features can bring a premium compared to worn or damaged examples. Another factor is the presence of errors or varieties. The 1956D issue has several known die varieties that raise collector interest. Some of these include small die chips, repunched mint marks, and minor doubling. While these aren't extremely rare, strong examples of repunched mint marks can add extra value for collectors who appreciate varieties. A pronounced repunched demint mark is one of the more popular minor varieties from this year, even without errors. The 1956D Lincoln cent remains a solid collectible. It marks one of the final years of the wheat design, and many collectors who build complete sets of the Lincoln cent series need this date and mint mark. Because of how many people today collect pennies, especially wheat pennies, there is still steady demand for all dates, including those from the 1950s. Now let's talk about value in today's market. A circulated 1956D wheat penny, depending on its level of wear, generally sells for around 3 to 10 cents if it is in average condition. Coins with lighter wear and better overall eye appeal can sell for a bit more, usually in the range of 15 to 25 cents. These are typical prices for coins sold individually. However, if the coin has an attractive look, minimal marks, and stronger details despite being circulated, it can sometimes bring 50 cents or slightly more. Rolls of lightly circulated 1956D pennies can also draw collector interest, and bulk lots sometimes sell for prices above face value. If the coin has an error or a noticeable repunched mint mark, the value can change significantly. A clear repunched mint mark variety might sell anywhere from $1 to $5, depending on its visibility and the amount of wear. Very strong and well-defined repunched mint marks can sometimes reach even higher prices, especially if the coin has good color and surface quality. Collectors also consider color when evaluating wheat pennies. Brown is the most common color for circulated 1956D cents, and it does not add much premium. However, coins that retain more original red or red-brown toning after decades of circulation can bring higher prices, even when lightly worn. Overall, while the 1956D wheat penny is not a rare coin, it remains an important part of the Lincoln cent series, and it continues to attract consistent collector interest. Its value comes from its place in history, its iconic design, and the enthusiasm of collectors who enjoy building complete wheat penny sets. For coin enthusiasts, this penny represents a snapshot of mid-century American coinage, produced during a time of economic growth and everyday use. And even in circulated condition, it can still hold value today, especially when the right combination of condition, color, and small varieties appear. That's our full look at the 1956D Abraham Lincoln wheat penny in circulated condition and its value in today's dollar market.